Ravens flock, the flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Game week, baby. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Ravens versus Houston Texans. I cannot wait. At the bank. It's going to be electric. We're going to finally get to see Lamar Jackson and this entire offense unveiled, and I couldn't be more excited. There's been a lot of national media hype. There's been a lot of predictions and power rankings and whatnot. I don't tune into the national media that much anymore. I just feel like local reporters, content creators have more of a pulse on their team and what's going on. You know, the national media covers every sport, and they kind of have a vague knowledge about each team individually. I know they got big names. You hear Stephen A talk about something or whatever. You know, it's all right to listen to, but I just don't put much weight into it. I feel like we know more. We've been here every day talking about the team. We know more than they do. We have more information. There's no way that they're that knowledgeable about every single team in the NFL and every single team in every sport. And I'm not bashing the national media. That used to be the only source of entertainment and sports knowledge, 10, 20 years ago. So they definitely had a place, and I respect them and the platforms that they build and the brands and names that they have built and the sports that they have covered over the years. I completely respect it. I just feel like there's better sources of information. The reason I'm bringing all that up is because Odell Beckham Jr. was on the Rich Eisen Show a few days ago and made a really interesting statement about Zay Flowers.
Justin, Devontae, I think Cooper Kupp, Tyreek, Jamar. If I'm keep going,
No, that's five.
Big.
That's five.
But I think the biggest one to watch out for this year, creeping to everyone's top five, is going to be Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, right? That's for sure, huh?
Yep. Just keep that name posted and watch every single week when it's showing up on SportsCenter.
Top 5 receiver in the NFL this season. That's coming from Odell's mouth. Interesting. Really interesting. Obviously, we've been on a Zay Flowers hype train the entire offseason, really since the draft, but especially when we started seeing the workout videos and then training camp videos, the preseason, the touchdown. I mean, the hype continues. All the Josina Andersons and Peter Kings that went to training camp and observed Zay Flowers in person and reported on it. There's been a hype train behind Zay, and for good reason. I'm also on that hype train. You know what I mean? I'm all aboard the Zay Flowers hype train. I think he's going to be a superstar in the NFL. But I find these comments really surprising and interesting. Not surprising in the sense that Odell's hyping up his teammate. I think that that's awesome and fine, and I understand that. Odell's listing his top 6, 7, 8 receivers in the NFL, but the fact that he added on, don't be surprised if Zay Flowers creeps into everybody's top 5 by the end of this season. That's a bold prediction, really bold prediction. I definitely think Zay Flowers is going to be a superstar, but there was a piece of me. I made a 1,000-yard prediction video, who's going to pass 1,000 receiving yards the other day, and not many people were picking Zay Flowers to even cross 1,000 yards. I feel like he'd have to cross 1,000 yards to enter top 5 receiver in the NFL category. So a couple thoughts I have from this prediction. I'm not surprised that he's just showing love to his teammate, right? Like, I'm sure if they asked Zay Flowers, he'd be like, don't be surprised if Odell returns to form and is the OBJ from New York. You should have confidence in your teammates and publicly acknowledge that. But I feel like Odell does believe this in a way. And if that is the case, then is Zay Flowers about to be more involved than we even think? Is there going to be a higher volume for him this year in this offense? Because that was my only concern about Zay Flowers passing 1,000 yards. I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability to get 1,000 receiving yards in this offense. I think he absolutely does. But it's volume for me. You know what I mean? We have Odell, Bateman, Zay, Aguilar, Duvernay, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, J.K. Dobbins, Lamar running. There's so many mouths to feed and so much talent that we should play situational football and be smart based on the matchup and based off the looks that the defense is giving us. And I just don't imagine us only feeding one guy a lot of the time. And for Zay Flowers to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL, he's going to need Jamar Chase type volume. I mean, Stephon Diggs type volume, Tyreek Hill, like these are the top 5 names right now, right? Justin Jefferson. But is Zay going to get that many looks? Is he going to get 8 to 12 targets a game? I didn't think so. But maybe Odell, who's there, knows something that we don't, and Zay's about to be way more involved than we think he is. He might be getting 7, 8 catches a game and going over 100 yards pretty often and scoring a touchdown every few games. It's really interesting that he made those comments because top 5 wide receiver in the NFL is a really bold statement. And I feel like Odell's not just going to gas a teammate just to do it because you got Rashad Bateman right there who's just as capable probably, right? Like, why wouldn't you gas him as well? Why wouldn't you be like, hey, Zay and Bateman are going to be in the top 10, or whatever. He said Zay Flowers, don't be surprised if he's in the top 5 in the entire NFL after this year. I feel like they might use Zay a little bit more than we think, and he might have a better year than we're expecting. Not that I'm expecting a bad year by any means. I love Zay Flowers. Like I said, I think there's so many mouths to feed that we're going to play situational ball, which is the best way to play football if you can. If you have the talent at every position, you just continuously go to the mismatches. You know what I mean? You just go to where the defense is not. That's the best way to play football. If I'm a betting man, I'm going to say Zay Flowers is not in the top 5 wide receiver conversation after this year, and I don't want to be a downer. I think Zay Flowers could eventually enter that if he's a premier face of this offense, because the rest of those guys are. The rest of those guys are the go-to guys in every situation. Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, those are undeniably the go-to guys on their offenses. I didn't see Zay Flowers in that type of role this season, but I also don't think Odell is blowing smoke either. I think he's serious. I think that he believes in Zay Flowers' talent that much and basically is saying, like, this guy has the ability to do that. And I agree that he has the ability to do that. I think Zay Flowers can be just as big as Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? I think that he can be a premier player in this league. I just don't expect him to be the face and the go-to guy game in and game out throughout this season, his rookie season. I could be totally wrong, and I don't mind being proven wrong. You know what I mean? I don't mind having a Raven excel and show out and become a superstar in the NFL. That is amazing for the team. And I'm rooting for Zay Flowers and this entire offense, this entire team, just as much as anybody is, right? I'm just saying, if I'm giving my thoughts on it, I just don't see him becoming a top 5 wide receiver this season, just because I don't think he's going to be getting that much volume, that many targets, that many looks every single game. And that's what you need to be in the top 5. You're going to have to go off. I mean, nobody's going to say Zay Flowers is the top 5 wide receiver in the NFL if he's not doing what Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and those guys are doing. I mean, that's just the reality of it, right? And in your rookie season, in a loaded offense, it's just hard for me to see him being the go-to guy game in and game out. But I know he has the ability to, and if they want to make him a focal point of the offense, then they can. I just think it's smarter to just go where the defense isn't. Just go where the mismatches are. Play situational football. And I think we'll win a lot more games playing that way. And I think that that's how the Ravens will approach it, right? They're not going to be like, we got to make sure Zay goes off. You know, the receivers think a little bit more individually like that than the coaches do, or Todd Monken, or even Lamar is going to be like, I need to go where we have the best chance of moving the ball down the field. And when you have a lot of weapons, force feeding one guy is usually not the best way to go about that. When you have a lot of weapons, the best way is to just take what the defense is giving you, because you have playmakers everywhere. And I promise you there's a mismatch. There's an open guy when you have that much talent, that many playmakers spread everywhere. It might be a check down to J.K. Dobbins. It might be Mark Andrews against a linebacker in the middle of the field. It might be Zay Flowers on a quick zig route who just beat the slot corner and he's wide open. Like, you know, it could be so many different things, but I'm just saying, go where the mismatch is, go where the defense is not, go where the hole in the zone is, the wide open player. You know, that's the way I think the Ravens are going to play football and attack this season and attack these defenses. But yeah, it'd be amazing if we had a top 5 receiver, period. I mean, a Ravens receiver has never even made the Pro Bowl. I know Devin Duvernay has on special teams, but as a wide receiver, the Ravens have never had a Pro Bowl wide receiver. So I would love to see that. I would love to see the Ravens have a superstar at receiver, and Zay Flowers would be the perfect one to do that, just because we got him for 5 years, you know, and like financially, that's a better position to be in if Zay Flowers becomes your superstar. Because if Odell has 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns this season, guess what he's going to command next year? Hell of a deal. You know what I mean? And Rashad Bateman in a couple years is going to be in his 5th year and going to be looking for a contract. I don't know what size contract that'll end up being. That really depends on how he plays the next 2 seasons, because right now I feel like he couldn't command a ton of money. But Zay Flowers we have for 5 years. So if we're going to have a Ravens wide receiver become a superstar and become a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, I would rather it be Zay Flowers right now, because we have 4 more years after this season guaranteed of him, and on a rookie deal. So you don't have to pay him that massive contract that he's going to get if he's playing like that. So definitely love hearing Odell continue the Zay Flowers hype train. I'm still on the Zay Flowers hype train. I don't think he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver in the entire league this season, but I know he has the ability and the potential to do that. I just can't wait to watch Ravens football this Sunday, man. I can't wait to see this offense, see Lamar throwing to Zay Flowers. I know Zay is going to get some targets for sure and be involved in this offense week in and week out. And I can't wait to see Odell. I think Odell could really explode this year. He said that himself to Josina Anderson. He feels like, I'm ready to explode. He's like, I feel like I'm in the right place. I really want to be here. And I would love to get an extension done and keep Odell as that veteran leader in our receiver room for a couple more years. You know, got to keep him healthy for sure. But I feel like he just brings an aura around him and an energy that not only can he make big plays, and his catch radius is just insane. I mean, he's going to be a red zone target along with Mark. Heavy red zone targets, heavy big 3rd down conversion, or we need a big play from a guy right now at the end of the game. Odell's going to be there. He's going to be able to catch that ball even if he's covered. And that's a luxury that we just haven't had on our team. You know, if a guy's been covered, they don't usually make a play. Like, usually they have to be open for us to be able to make the completion. And I just don't think, even Bateman, I think Bateman's got a nice catch radius, but Odell's catch radius is ridiculous. And Zay's going to be able to get open with his footwork, with his feet, with his quickness. Odell's going to be able to catch the ball even if he's not open based on his routes and I'm not saying he can't run routes. He's extremely crafty as well. But Odell can make a play even when covered. And that's a beautiful option for this offense to have, for Lamar Jackson to have. It's going to make life for Lamar Jackson so much easier. And that's why I'm so high on this offense. I think they're going to take a ginormous leap because the field's just going to open up. All the options open up. And we're rolling into the season healthy on offense, which is amazing. Mark Andrews is supposed to be back to practice today. It's also Mark Andrews' birthday, so happy birthday, Mark Andrews. And can't wait to see him back out there. He hasn't been practicing for a while, so hopefully he's all good. Harbaugh said no reason to hit the panic button. He should be back at practice today. If anything changes or there's any news at all really from practice or the press conferences or anything like that, I definitely will hop on and recap for you guys. I'll have a game preview episode out on Friday, and we'll do another $50 giveaway. If you guys are new to the channel and haven't been a part of the giveaways during the preseason, I do a $50 giveaway on every preview of the game episode. So there's been 3 so far for the preseason. And I just ask a question somewhere in that preview episode. Usually it's like a yardage number, something that's hard for a bunch of people to get right or have the same answer, even though we did have a tie last preseason game, which is just crazy. But yeah, just ask a question, and whoever's closest, you can go over, you could be under, it doesn't matter. Whoever's closest, I just Cash App, Venmo, $50 after the game. Just a way for me to give back to you guys for supporting the channel, especially so early. We're like 3.5 months in. I started this channel like very end of May, early June, and it's growing. It's growing faster than I ever imagined. So I appreciate you guys more than you know. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.